Thank goodness.
Testing. Okay. Muted. This is what I do every single week. I do the intro for about a minute, and then somebody says, "Hey, bro, you're muted." So thanks for letting me know. Welcome to the Next Leg Show. It's 43 OG here. I actually just went through everyone in the chat, so I'll go back and say thanks to everyone in the chat. Familiar names, Wolf, Spiro, Person 78, X15, Mango, Gen W, So or Besot, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, which will grant. Mythology, anyone? Bingo Wolf. Is audio wrecked? Is it? Is it wrecked? Serious? No. I've got a bad connection. It shouldn't be bad. What about now? Is that better? Is this better? Better. Okay. All right. My apologies. Man, you guys are harsh. Fucking hexagons, eh? God damn it. Don't you real? We fly by the seat of our pants here. So, you're going to give us a couple of seconds. That the my mug on stream, unfortunately. But hey, on the positive sign, what's cracking 43 audio is all sweet now. Okay, that's better. Okay. So hopefully my internet is not total shite today. I hope, because I'm in a different situation than normal. So I've got no camera, and that could be good for the stream. We might actually get more viewers today. I wonder, I would like to see, I don't know if there's a way to do it. Maybe you would need to have 2 streams simultaneously and see what percentage of people tune out the second my face comes on cam. I don't know. It would have to be something that we try out. But the question is, who's the scammer? Who is the scammer? Who's the scammer? Who is the scammer? Well, that's a question that people in crypto ask all the time, and it's a question that gets answered incorrectly quite often as well. And the people that you might think you might think are not the scammers, who have all the paperwork, who are all in quotation marks legit. It seems that it's their activities that get taken down. It's their activities that don't end up working because of the trust factor. So, I'm not sure about you guys, but one of the main reasons I'm in crypto is because I like the idea of replacing trusted parties with code. I think that's like a step in the right direction for humanity. And I hope like, what's happened over the last 14 years, I hope we keep going this direction, but there are hurdles. But anyway, I have a clip here from the HEX conference, which I think it was K4K Crypto put up on his channel. And it was, it's a great clip. It's Richard Hart talking about the SEC, and let's have a listen.
The United States government, every once in a while, tries to help its citizens not get screwed. which is nice. That's nice for government to do. And so historically, people would get screwed by schemes where people would say they were going to do one thing and then do a different thing, and then people would lose money. So basically, they created a branch of the government called the Securities and Exchange Commission that tries to help people not get scammed. And I think they forget that that's what they're supposed to be doing. Like, that's the reason they exist, is to stop people from getting scammed. But then they like get caught up in the intricacies of the laws, and then they don't think about whether they're really getting the job done. How many of these rug pull guys have been indicted? Not a single one that I'm aware of. And how many people have lost money to rug pulls? Oh God. Squid Game. It's worth 4.3 trillion. It went to zero. I do so much to try and protect people from getting scammed, and it saddens me to see them attacking people that aren't scamming. We have no shortage of real scams in crypto. If your employer doesn't pay you properly, do you call the Securities Exchange Commission? Nope. Why? Because they are not empowered with regulating business-employee relationships. What if your bank doesn't pay you what they're supposed to? What if they double charge you? Like Bank of America, or rather Wells Fargo. I think it was Wells Fargo. They got fined massively for billing people for stuff they didn't sign up for. Do you call the SEC? No, you don't. You call your state attorney general. So what is this little sliver of stuff that they're supposed to cover? Regulate securities. Okay, well, what are securities? Securities are when you put your money into a common pool with the expectation of profit solely from the work of others. The Securities and Exchange Commission has tried to water it down with things like, is there critical entrepreneurial effort? Is there critical managerial effort? And what does critical mean? It means without it, the stuff fails. Fails. Critical. And so these words critical and solely are very, 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 very important. If you paint your house, did you put money into a common pool? Well, yeah. I mean, you bought your paint, everywhere else did. Okay. Did you have expectation of the profit of work of others? Well, I mean, you painted your own house. It wasn't really others, it was you, okay? And that's it. Like, so when you paint your house, you expect to profit from it. Now you've got a nice painted house. Now your house is worth more. Cool, good for you. SEC doesn't regulate that. They don't regulate you improving your house. They don't regulate someone else improving your house, by the way. You pay some guy to paint your house. Is that a security? Nope. You buy a baseball card, security? Nope. You buy a Ferrari, goes up in value, security? Nope. You buy gold, goes up in value, security? Nope. So what's a security? If you're doing the work and someone else isn't doing the work, then you violated that solely part, and it shouldn't be a security. If there's no common pool, it shouldn't be a security. And when I say shouldn't, I mean the Howey test states that every single leg has to pass or it's not a security. So you have to put money into a common pool with the expectation of profit solely from the work of others. They added on this non-judicial stuff with entrepreneurial effort and critical managerial effort. And then there's also some family likeness thing. But the family likeness thing just basically means, like, in theory, you should be regulated as whatever your thing is most similar to. Let's take a look at HEX. You buy HEX. Where'd you buy it from? A common pool? Nope. Most people, I think, buy on Uniswap. Where are the coins coming from? Everybody else that used Uniswap. It's like a flea market. And are you expecting profit from the people that you bought from? One, you don't even know who they are, unless there's someone, like, I don't know who any of the people on Uniswap are. Does anyone else know? I don't think. And do you expect profit from these people you don't even know who they are? How you can expect stuff from people you don't even know who they are? You don't even know if they're people. It could just be machines. It could just be bots. It could be AI. You have no idea. If there was profit, is it solely from them? Well, no, you ran your own code to perform that transaction to make those coins come to you. You had to do work to move those coins, or else they couldn't possibly move. You, as the person that's transacting on Uniswap, are running all the code. Without you running the code, ain't nothing happening. Where's the common pool? No common pool. It's a million different people. Where's the expectation of profit from the work of others? Who's doing work? You're the only one doing the work. And then like, there's some of the stuff so obvious. Like, okay, so let's just say HEX in general. Is there a HEX building somewhere? Nope. Is there a HEX office? No. Is there a HEX marketing team? No. Is there a HEX CEO? No. Is there a HEX company? No. Okay. So who are you expecting profit from? Doesn't make sense. HEX is the silliest thing to ever screw with because it's the least security thing in the whole game. I die, hex.com goes offline. You go to backuphex.com, hardhex.xyz, apphex.win, staker.app, etherscam.io, write contract. Okay.
tshare.app. I made that one.
There you go. Right?
It's a front end for HEX.
Nice, dude. Good job. I didn't even know it existed. And this is what actual decentralization looks like. These are entirely different code bases run by entirely different people on entirely different infrastructure that have no relationship to each other. I don't even know about half of them. So it can't get more decentralized. And by the way, as far as decentralization goes, we're not even on any big exchanges. All of the trading is decentralized. It is nonsensical to attack HEX from a critical managerial entrepreneurial effort thing. It doesn't make any sense. There's no building, there's no people, there's no nothing. It's just code. It sits there. And it would just sit there dead and dormant, except people run it themselves. They decide to do their own work and run the code themselves. That's effort of themselves. It's just like drawing a picture of a pony. Hey, I drew a picture of a pony. Used to be just pencil and paper. Drew a pony picture. Now I have one. Is there security? And then when you mine your own coins, what's the difference? Tell me the difference between you mining your own coins and drawing a pony picture. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And the concept that anyone would try and tax you on drawing your own pony picture is crazy to me. And that's another thing that's coming up. You can't, if I draw a pony picture, you're not supposed to tax me on that. And if I do some math and mint some more quote coins, which are just like ledger entries in some global shared database thing, should I be taxed on that? What's the difference? What's the difference between me doing some math and writing down a number in a public ledger and me just drawing a pony picture? They both take effort. They're both recorded somewhere that you can see. Like HEX is the strongest. It launched totally sufficiently decentralized. It has had forever many multiple front ends. It has no building. It has nobody working for it. It makes you no promises whatsoever. What do you want? It's drawn pony pictures, except you're minting quote coins, which are just ledger entries. I don't know how one would try to successfully attack it. So you don't have a common pool. You don't have managerial entrepreneurial effort. You don't have expectation of profit from the work of others. What's left? That's like every possible thing. Oh, okay, let's go family likeness test. What's it most similar to? Bitcoin. Except instead of blowing up the environment to mint coins, you just lock your coins up for a while. You can lock them up for a day. Okay, great. Everyone says Bitcoin's not a security. Sweet. So like, we just win on like every single possible front.
There we go. So that was a clip from the 2023 HEX conference that Maddie Allen put on. And the clip was taken from K4K Crypto's channel. So you guys can go, if you haven't subscribed to those two channels, go subscribe to them. They are good Hexicans who contribute to the HEX ecosystem and put a lot of good information out there. So yeah, let's dig in a little. Let's dig into what Richard was talking about. He was talking about why HEX is not a security, and he outlined a few good points. And the point I like is most of all is this idea that if you're producing something, if you're doing some work yourself, if you're just doing something, you don't get taxed on that work that you've produced. And the example that Richard uses is a picture of a pony. If you draw a picture of a pony, you do not get taxed on the picture of a pony that you've drawn. I would like to extend this slightly. And the example that I always like to use is when it comes to HEX, we call it staking HEX, but as a lot of us know, you don't actually stake your HEX. When you, in quotation marks, stake your HEX is being burnt, so it no longer exists. And then you get, in exchange for that, you get a share of the pool of tokens that have been burnt in that same manner. And then based on that, you get a daily payout of the inflation, of the yield in the system. So when I'm thinking about likeness and what does this resemble, I think about it's similar to growing a tree or planting something and waiting the period of time it takes for that tree to grow and produce fruit. So the tree is your initial hex burnt that takes time to grow, and then it bears fruit. The longer that you leave it in the pool to accumulate more yield, the more seasons of fruit that you're going to get out of it. Now, this is the question, right? When you produce yield in the way of like fruit, vegetables, if you're a farmer, produce yield, and let's say you're growing apples, and you've got like all this yield of apples that you've picked. Do you get taxed as a farmer? Do you get taxed on those apples when you pick them? When they blossom? Like, when do you get taxed on them? No, you do not get taxed on them when you pick them. You get taxed on them when you sell them. And I think that when we're talking about likeness, I think that's what HEX is most like in my mind. I'm yet to be convinced otherwise by anyone. So I know that, people try and fit HEX into existing categories, but the reality is, especially in Australia, because I can speak from that perspective. I can't really speak from the American perspective. I'm happy for you guys to, throw your opinions in the chat. I speak from the Australian perspective. I believe in Australia, HEX does not really fit into any one category. I don't think you can call it, I don't think it's actually staked in the same way that that other tokens are staked, because of the very fact that they're burnt. They're not sent to, they just don't exist anymore. So that's I think what I draw out of that, my extension to that SEC argument and what HEX is most like. So guys, what's going on? Tell me what's been going on this week. I've been pretty busy. We're about to do some traveling, and that's why I find myself in not my usual setup. I don't have my camera. But I'll tell you something that I came across earlier this week, and it was a Twitter post by Dipcatcher, and he did like this sort of this State of the Union address, which was pretty cool, and he did that on Twitter. So maybe if we have time, we'll have a look at that. Let me just bring up Jexa. G'day, buddy. How are you?
Hey, how you going, mate? You can hear me loud and clear?
I can hear you loud and clear. Apparently, I was talking for a period of time, and no one heard anything. And then when I did turn on my microphone, it was terrible audio, and the Hexicans let me know in full force.
Well, that's all right.
What audio is. They're good at that, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. I've done a full live presentation, a webinar, and for 15 minutes I thought I was sharing a screen and it wasn't, and the chat was lighting up. So yeah,
that's awesome. That's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
What's been going on, brother?
I've been doing a little bit of holidaying, so that's been nice. And it was nice to be on holidays and watch a few green candles appear. That's always a nice way to wake up. So yeah, it's been I think for the markets overall, it's been a pretty good week. You feeling the same?
Yeah. I actually just got a message from Tangent saying that he's coning now. I'm not sure if he meant like coming now. He could be coning now, though. He could be coning now. I don't know.
Could well be. Have you got that? Have you got the graphic that I put in the chat, which is someone apparently that we know is responsible for?
No, I don't. I don't have a way to connect that chat with this PC, unfortunately.
Right.
Can you possibly pop it in the private chat here?
Yeah. Wow. Oh, yeah. Don't know. Can I send a? I might have to share a screen.
What's it referring to?
Oh, this was just a little bit of artwork that we've seen in the city area.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Hang on, let me just. It's nothing exciting, but just to know what some of your fellow hexicans are up to, I guess. Let me just download this. Where are we? All right.
Yeah. Oh, did you hear about? And I put this link in the chat, in our chat. That thing about Quadriga CX. There have been accounts. Like you remember. I'll give you a bit of background. Like 2 or 3 years ago, a Canadian exchange had some serious issues, and this the main guy, the CEO, I guess, he disappeared, or no, he died when he was in India, and apparently he was
Gerald or Gerard or someone, or
something like that, and the guy, apparently he died in India. Right. And you know what it's like in India, all white people look the same. You know what I mean? So the guy died in India, right? And what's happened in the last, very, very recently, a few of those dormant accounts, which are connected to the Quadriga CX exchange, have been lying dormant, have had activity on them. So it's sort of people are starting, and there was always this question back then whether the guy actually faked his own death or not. So we don't know now. Either someone else had the keys and has done nothing for a couple of years, or they found the keys, or the dude faked his death and he's like, okay, time to do something with this money.
So there's a couple of things to unpack there, I guess. So first of all, I don't know how many coins were laying dormant, but I can't imagine it's a small amount. So this is what one of the local hexicans in Perth has been up to. We may or may not know this person, but they've obviously been on a bit of a bender, and they're painting the town pink.
And here's the man himself. Can you speak to this picture? Can you speak to this picture, Tangent? Can you tell us what's going on?
No comments. No
I don't
comment.
know.
No
apparently, we know someone that might have done this.
I'm aware of the location. I know that that's in Perth. I can't say any more than that. other than guerrilla marketing is obviously a thing in these mean streets.
Absolutely. So you said you were
and I'll actually
coning
just also
now.
note. I'll also note. Was that type
in the message? Coning now.
That was a typo.
Sure, it was, mate.
I will just note that it was obviously very nice of whoever did that they didn't actually vandalize any private property, that it was already it was just a poster, so that poster can be removed or replaced, or these posters in the city get replaced every now and then. It's not vandalizing someone's actual storefront or brickwork or that sort of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Real estate signs are fair game, aren't they?
Yeah.
So what's been going on, Tangent? What have you been up to?
I've been getting cautiously optimistic about this bull run.
Yeah.
And
likewise,
the longer it lasts for, obviously, you know, you have the situation of consolidating at the highs. So at the moment, coins that have pumped seem to be holding those pumps and not just dropping straight back down. Certain, like many indicators are starting, you know, if we actually do go up from here, even if we pull back and make like a higher low, but if the bottom is in retrospect, once it gets confirmed, then my talk at the HEX conference is going to be legendary in terms of the timing of me making that bull case, you know?
Yep. So I'll bring up a chart in a sec.
That was a great talk,
And
by the way. I really enjoyed yours.
The other thing, thanks, man. The other thing I'll say is, I'm not sure if I've actually said this publicly yet. HEX has been delayed, like its action seems to be delayed. So you see, you know, large market cap coins pumping, and then there's or dumping. Like, so on the way down, things would dump, and you know, hexagons. So the best example of this is hexagons would be celebrating the relative strength when HEX was basically going sideways and everything was dumping. But then a few days later, HEX would also dump, and then on the way back up, I've noticed the same thing has been happening where everything pumps and HEX is just chilling, and then HEX pumps. Now, that's a blessing for a trader because it means that you can predict the future if you are trading the asset that is delayed, because then the whole entire market is effectively your it's your early warning signal. And I've been successfully trading that on HEX, where if I see the whole market pump and HEX is not doing anything, I just buy HEX and it pumps.
Yep. I'll just share a screen again. Might get too much into charting,
while you're doing that, Jexa, oh, hang on, let me bring that up.
Yeah, so this is the BTC chart on Bitstamp, 3-day chart. And I showed this a while back, but there's the lines to pay attention to here are so this is this yellow line, which is it's a 21 moving average, but we're on a 3-day chart. So what's that, a 63 day? And then
so 2 months.
2 months, and how that interplays with the green line, which is normally a 50 day. So that's 150 day. And in previous markets, it crosses down, doesn't play with that green line all the way down, and then when we hit the bottom, that's when you cross up in your confirmation. And so where do we sit in this current market? Same thing, cross down, hasn't played with that line for the whole entirety of the bear market, and now it's just curling up. So this could still take a long time to play out, depending on how price movement goes. But that's starting. Can
I? An observation. I have an observation that if that is the bottom of BTC, it actually looks like a bottom.
A bit of a W there.
Yep, actually looks like a bottom.
Yeah. So you got like a double bottom there, haven't you? And if
it's a long way to get to that red line, though. Yeah, long way to get to that red line.
To this red line.
Yep, that should be coming down soon.
Yeah, if you go to a 1 day, that's probably a little bit more accurate on that one. So on a 1 day, you're above the 200-day moving average. So that's a good thing. We haven't been there for a long time. Yep.
So an 11K and pray would be a 50% drawdown from here for BTC, wouldn't it? Something along those lines.
My personal opinion. So I'll show you the box I drew. Well, probably 12 months ago now. This was the box I drew in terms of where I thought price would get to, and that's obviously a big range, but that's where I sort of said I think it could fall into here, and I drew that when we were way back here. So we've dipped into that, and I think I had my low of being 13.8. I think was where I thought you might hit. We haven't been down that low. Like anything, when you're doing your TA, the standard comment, could it go down more? Sure, but
Always.
that does look like a nice bottom. We're sitting above the 200-day, and we haven't done that in a long time. That's pretty good. That's some pretty good results there. And I think the one I'm looking for a more solid confirmation is that interplay of these two on the 3-day chart. So if we see that, I think that's looking pretty good.
The narrative that I heard that I really liked is that 20K should have been the bottom, as everyone expected, in terms of like getting supported on previous cycle high, and that it was simply the FTX black swan that took it down below 20K. And this entire time that we've been below 20K is actually just a deviation. And then now we're back, we've recovered that deviation, we're back above 20K, and now we can do what we should have done off that 20K level, which is to form a base and move up. It's obviously not guaranteed, but I like the sound of it.
What about grayscale discount? What about that?
I'd have to go back and check that. I haven't checked that recently, but bear in mind this is all off the back of
$14,000.
You got to also remember this is all back off the back of the US dollar weakening as well. So there's all there's a lot of things that have lined up here.
Oh yeah, it's always multiple factors, but day 43, my counter to any sort of narrative that's like, oh, what about this? This hasn't been rinsed out yet, or this hasn't been resolved, or this is, you're never going to have a bottom where everything is resolved and it's really obvious that everything's chill. There's always going to be a bear narrative that someone can pull up.
Exactly.
So, and markets still bottom even with those things still in play. So I'm not going to wait for everything to be resolved before scaling in, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
I think we also need to see, sorry, Jexa, you go, mate. We've got a bit of a delay as per usual, guys. We're all over the place.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to say, it's like when you're at the top, everyone's overly bullish. When you're at the bottom, everyone's overly bearish. And when you say picking a bottom, and someone, I can't remember who it was, they put a tweet up yesterday, I think it was, and calling the bottom is not about, or looking for the bottom, or starting to scale in at the bottom is not about picking the bottom price. It's about picking that trend reversal. So identifying that there has been a bottom, and not necessarily trying to time it perfectly price wise, but that zone where that's a good time to get in. So if you were looking at the bottom from the last one, I think what we get to a 3K bottom. I think anyone that brought in a zone sort of around here would have been spectacularly happy with a buy-in. So anywhere from 3 to sort of 5, everyone would have been pretty chuffed, I would have thought. And maybe not timed it perfectly, and it depends on your risk profile. Are you the kind of person that's happy to leave more on the table for waiting for a more solid confirmation and seeing a better trend reversal? So it just depends how much risk you want on it.
43, have you said
I think it's also going to be, I was just going to say, I think it's also, it's a big factor is going to be interest rates. What happens with, just on the macro scale, because I believe we're still going to see increases in interest rates over the next few months. And then when we see a reversal, when we see the Fed pivoting, that might have, at least a psychological effect on the crypto market.
I think the markets will price that in before you see it. So they'll be looking at inflation and other things, and not just waiting for the Fed to change their mind on that, because that's going to be a big delay. So I think the market will price that in a bit, and we're probably already seeing some of that now. You're seeing the value of the US dollar going down. So people are obviously taking money and putting it back into the markets. The dollar is weakening, so people would be looking to do something to to get a few returns back there.
There's two effects that I wanted to mention that happens from what's has happened where we've had like a big jump up that's been sustained is on the way down, bears get rewarded for shorting rallies and bulls get demoralized by the fact that anyone that's buying in almost immediately becomes underwater and is at loss.
Yep.
When you get a big jump up like this, bears who have been trained to continually short rallies get wrecked over and over and over and over again as the price just continues to go up, stay a bit up. So they keep shorting because that's what they've been trained to do on the way down. And then they're just getting wrecked. And bulls finally get so as we've ground along the bottom there between kind of like 15 and 17K, all the people who bought in that zone are now in decent profit and are feeling great. They're feeling bullish. They're telling their friends. So this sort of jump up and sustained price really does a good job of teaching the bears a lesson, or at least teaching them that it's not as easy as just doing those rinse and repeat, and it gives the bulls a bit more confidence than they've had in the past.
Yep. Yeah, I think things are starting to see those a few good signs. It's not just a little bit of price movement. There's a lot of things going on. So maybe Can
we look at the HEX chart?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, and the other thing I've been commenting on was I made that tweet about looking at good news and bad news within the industry and how much of each will impact the price. So to determine whether you're in bear market, bull market, or transition. And it's like the rule is in a bull market, good news makes price go up, bearish news or bad news does nothing. And in the bear market, the bad news makes the price goes down and the good news does nothing. And we have seen that shift where now you're seeing articles coming out saying, there's this good news and then the price, or not necessarily, you can't always know which one caused which in terms of whether they're just like correlating the news to the event, but at least there is that connection between good news in the crypto space and the price going up. And you see bad news coming out and it pretty much does F all. And that's been for a couple of weeks now. So
the digital currency group, the bad news and the FUD around that, which is that's pretty substantial.
Massive.
That's a big deal. And that's been over the last 2 weeks where that's been getting pushed around more with the Winklevi sending out open letters to Barry Silbert and so forth.
And then the SEC taking them both on. Yeah,
that's right. So that's been out in the public and we've still got a chart that's heading up. So I think you're right on call tangent. It's maybe everyone's priced in a lot of that FUD now, and we've literally had probably the biggest implosion this space has ever seen, and everything's still working, everything's still ticking along. So I think it's been a good thing, to be honest. Like, it's been pretty shit to watch all this unfold, and it hasn't been great, but I think it's a testament now to how more mature the DeFi space is, for sure.
Yep.
So it depends on whether you want a negative spin on that or whether you're got a more positive outlook. But I prefer to take the positive outlook, and I think we've washed out a lot of centralized shit out of the space, which I think that's what we all like to see.
Hey guys, I found a clip from I saw this clip on Twitter from 1959. Awesome. Check it out.
Am for an absolute, laissez-faire, free, unregulated economy. Let me put it briefly. I'm for the separation of state and economics, just as we had separation of state and church, which led to peaceful coexistence among different religions after a period of religious wars. So the same applies to economics. If you separate the government from economics, if you do not regulate production and trade, you will have peaceful cooperation and harmony and justice among men.
Word.
Who was that?
Let's put that out to the chat. Does anyone know who that was?
sounded like a Russian accent.
Yeah, I was saying Russian or something similar.
Correct, Benny G. Correct.
Really? Someone got it right.
So, yep. That clip was from a Mike Wallace interview in 1959. 1959.
Hectic.
That's a
So it's
that's
taken
a
over half a
minute
century.
and a half. A minute and a half ago.
Damn, man.
It's taken a while. Like, no, but this person she could already see what was going on back then.
Mm.
So, but nothing's been like, the people haven't been able to do anything about it because the public gets basically bought off with money printing. There's handouts left and right nowadays. So who's really wanting to stop the money printing? Oh, and by the way, there is you guys realize that the World Economic Forum are having a meeting. WEF is having a meeting in Davos. I like to call them QEF because you'll smell nothing and you'll.
I felt like they only met a couple of months ago to sort out
didn't they
world domination.
It seemed, when I heard that, I was like, it was so recent that they were there doing some shit somewhere else, I guess.
Yeah, no, they're doing it again. They're back. Obviously, their last set of plans, they have to adjust because people are on. I think people are onto it. There's a lot of reporters out there, onto it. They're on it. So we'll see what comes out of it. What plans are they making? What are these unelected officials? What plans are they making on our behalf? I'd like to know.
I don't know if you've seen Elon's been revving it up them this past couple of days as well. He was getting stuck into the WEF boys. So he's I hope Elon's we can take him at face value. Like, I hope he's not going to
Controlled opposition.
Controlled opposition. That's the word I'm looking for. That would be, for me, that would remove all faith in humanity if that turns out to be the case.
Or someone like Russell Brand, if he turned out to be controlled opposition, which I don't think he is. I've got strong arguments as to why he's not. But if something like that was to happen, I would be like, man, we've got no chance.
Yeah.
I doubt that very much. The guy's too loose.
Yeah. You can tell there are certain things that you're like, if this person was controlled opposition, they wouldn't say this, they wouldn't say this. These are the parts where this is going too far for controlled opposition, because this sort of stuff is actually going to wake people up. So controlled opposition should not be waking people up.
He wouldn't have got banned off YouTube. He wouldn't have got banned off YouTube. He would be back on YouTube. Yeah, he's off YouTube.
Wait, what? As in
currently?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Didn't know that.
I didn't know that. I guess I follow him on Odyssey. So I've made this transition where
actually, unless I put him back,
anyone who does dual channel, so that includes Richard Hart, like any person I follow on YouTube who also dual streams to Odyssey, I unfollow them on YouTube and only follow them on Odyssey. Or follow them on both, but follow them on both, but only watch the Odyssey streams.
Well, he's on Rumble.
I was going to say Rumble.
He's on Rumble. Yes.
Yeah, Rumble seems to be one that has gotten the most attention and the most adoption.
He had a lot of followers on YouTube. He had a lot of followers.
I think it was up to 5 mil or something like that.
Yeah,
I think it was over 6 mil. I think he got to 6.2 mil.
Yeah.
It's all Brand. Where are you?
I thought he was pretty. I thought he was pretty clever in the way he done things. Well, they're all skirting the.
He definitely got.
Actually, he didn't get taken down off YouTube. He didn't get taken. No, so he didn't get banned on
6.16 million.
Yeah, he didn't get. banned on
I think he got a
YouTube. My
strike.
mistake. I think one of his videos got taken down and he cracked it over that. I think he just wasn't happy about getting
Because
censored.
they gave him a first and final. It basically said, if this happens again, you'll be permanently banned. And he's like, the same thing that everyone complains about, where it's like, you guys don't actually accurately tell us what we are and aren't allowed to do. And then you just lose your whole shit over something that you actually theoretically didn't even realize that you were breaking a rule.
Yeah,
I don't
that's what happened to you,
understand why
sort of, isn't it? Tangent. That's what happened to your channel.
True. Yeah.
It's not really fair. You know, you should have some rules to abide by, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not a fair way of running things.
What I think everyone seems to be doing, so everyone seems to be having two versions of their shows these days, where they have one where they're very careful about what they say on YouTube, but the only reason they do it on YouTube is the express purpose of being able to tap into that audience, but then migrating them across to Rumble or wherever they are, where they can actually speak more freely. So I think it's a matter of they've got to be on YouTube because that's where the eyeballs are currently, and that's the audience that you want to have the most impact on is on YouTube. All the guys that are already across on Rumble, they're probably all very much on board with the message you're trying to get out. It's these other people that you want to try and influence. So unfortunately, I think you've got to, it's that double-edged sword thing. You've got to stay there to be able to have an impact on the people you want to reach. I'd love for us just to migrate away from something that didn't have any of the censoring that it does.
I've seen JP, like Awaken with JP and Russell Brand, both use that exact tactic that you're talking about of saying, yo, we're deliberate. There's some stuff I can't say in this video. If you want to see the full version, go on Rumble.
Yeah, Redacted do it as well. There's a bunch of them do it. And I'm not sure how Joe Rogan seems to do it as well. He does put smaller clips on there, but obviously his main audience is on Spotify. So I think everyone's just playing the game.
Kevin Leary apparently has said we're going to have a crypto meltdown to zero. I mean, does that shit even make sense? Like, as in, it doesn't make sense.
Kevin O'Leary is the guy off the Shark Tank, right?
Tank. Yeah. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's making an exaggerated comment. And when he says meltdown to zero, he just means a massive dump, not literally zero. Like, everyone knows nothing. This shit can't go to zero.
But what's he basing that
on? Future exchange failures. That at some point there'll be another exchange failure that'll just like crater the industry. And he said, it will 100% happen. You know my rule. If anyone ever says something with full certainty, you know they're full of shit, because no one knows anything in this world with full certainty.
Dude, that guy is definitely full of shit. Definitely full of shit. Dude, he's full of shit. Just after the FTX bankruptcy, and he came out and just was like,
and
backing,
said he'd do it again.
Like, bro, you are full of shit. Get the fuck out of my face, please.
That is a softball question. You know the answer to that question is no. If I had known that shit, I would not have done it. And he's like, yeah guys, I'm not gonna do that shit again. Idiot.
That was gold.
Yeah, man. But he was always like, if you've ever watched any clips from the Shark Tank, he was always like the fuckwit of the group, like in the Shark. Seriously, he was always like the asshole fuckwit out there, always had some bullshit angle. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up. I don't know why that guy has viewers. I don't know. I don't know why we have viewers, by the way. So there you go. Actually, I do know why we have viewers. You guys are smart fellas. You know, that's why we have viewers.
I like our show. I think it's good. I like the intro that Diary of a CEO has some amazing guests, and his intro is, I hope no one's listening, but if you are, please keep this to yourself. So it's like a reverse psychology kind of thing that's interesting that I haven't heard anyone else do before.
What's that from? Sorry, I missed.
Diary of a CEO.
Diary of a CEO.
There was some other news that came out. What was the GTX? Did you hear about that?
I did hear about that. Do you know why there was backlash? Is it because it's like the next letter on from F? It's like the new version of FTX. It's like they've just taken the next letter. Like FTX is gone, now it's GTX? Or
I think more of the backlash was because it was the Three Arrows Capital guys that were planning on doing it, and let's say they haven't been the most stellar representatives of the space. They've arguably caused half the shit.
Yeah.
Well, did they cause it? Don't know, but they were obviously way over leveraged. So may not have been the root cause of it, but definitely didn't help.
Yeah, there's a lot of blame to be thrown around, and a lot of it is like, oh, well, we weren't necessarily like the worst network participants, but if you're not acting with 100% ethics at all times, then you are part of the problem. So
yeah. If you're taking, and I guess it's not their fault, if someone's going to offer you an unsecured loan for billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars, who's not going to take that?
Yeah.
A risk-free loan.
I heard this hilarious Tim Dillon pod where he was like, people in the housing crisis of 2008, like the subprime mortgage crisis, calling themselves victims. And so he's like, never in history would you ever have spoken to someone and then be like, yeah, I'm a victim. And it's like, oh, what happened? Oh, someone gave me $750K. Wait, what? Someone gave you $750K and you're a victim? Yeah, I was unemployed and someone gave me $750K. I'm a victim. Like, it's like, bro.
The US guys in the chat will probably be able to confirm this and tell me whether it's true or not. But I believe you guys have a thing called jingle mail, where when if you've got a mortgage and you want out, you can essentially send the keys back into the bank and walk away from the mortgage. Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not. So if you're from the States and that sounds true, let us know in the chat. Not that easy in Australia. If you take on a loan like that, you're seeing that thing through, and they'll take everything they can off you in order to jingle mail. What the fuck is jingle mail?
So something different.
Yeah, that was like a joke.
Heard of that shit.
Yeah, that was like a joke term, but it means you can basically send the keys back into the property and walk away from the mortgage. So I don't know whether that's true or not. So anyone that's over there, let us know.
Did you guys see that article about the India's central bank governor talking about crypto?
Say that again.
Did you see the article on India's central bank governor calls crypto gambling, asks for blanket ban again?
I did see that, yes.
I see, when I see, to me, I guess some people would see that as bear. I see that shit as bullish. That's it.
Bullish.
To me, that seems like, like they're panicking, like the legacy powers that be are panicking. That's what it looks like to me.
Man.
And
yeah.
And that's bullish
the Gandhi
in my
quote.
mind.
This is the Gandhi quote. The next stage is this is them fighting us, and next stage is we win. It's.
Yep. Yeah. And there was a quote in here. I'm trying to find it. It's basically saying because it's volatile, that he calls it gambling, and there's no underlying value or asset that underlies the currency, which is like ridiculous coming from a central bank governor who is responsible for printing money that is backed by nothing. It's like
what I find
the hypocrisy in that is just it's
what's even what's even more hypocritical is all the state sponsored lottos. So you can, and there's no limit. You can go chuck thousands of dollars over the lotto ticketing desk to buy a ticket that's got odds of 6 million to 1. 16 million to 1 is one of our standard lotto systems here, and I think in the US it's way more because they've got a bigger prize pool. But the odds of ever bringing home the bacon on 16 million to 1 is just insane. Yet that's fully sanctioned gambling, and you can go do that for your heart's content. Yet if you want to chuck $1,000 into the crypto market, which probably has got far better odds of going up than that, and that's a no-no. And I think the reason behind that is in my opinion, a lot of the lotto stuff is really just another tax. Another way.
It's another way to collect
funds.
Well, the article said Das added that crypto is percent speculation, or to put it very bluntly, it's gambling. Then he argued that since gambling is banned in India, cryptos should not be allowed to, or the government should lay the rules for gambling. So another reason why the Reserve Bank of India. Yeah, but this part is, I think, even better. Another reason why the Reserve Bank of India should ban crypto is that they pose a threat to central banks. So there's an acknowledgement that he sees crypto as a threat to central banks. Please believe me, these are not empty alarm signals. 1 year ago in the Reserve Bank, we had said this whole thing is likely to collapse sooner than later. And if you see the developments over the last year, climaxing in the FPX episode, I think I don't need to add anything more.
But once again, they're conflating two very, very different things. They're conflating fraud that can happen in any company.
The legacy system. In the legacy system. Yeah. So that's more of an argument. It's more of an argument to shut down central banks, because central banks are also counterfeiting money in the legacy system. Yeah. So he's arguing against himself. He's like, these legacy systems collapse, therefore we should shut down crypto, which works. Like it doesn't even make sense.
If they were being honest, what you would do is you would put in place something such that, and this is what the Coast guys are doing, something such that you can on and off ramp out of this space, but you can't do all the retarded shit with the leverage trading and all that kind of stuff, because that is, if you've got a straight mechanism where someone can take the clip on the way through the 4% or whatever they need to clip off the top when you're moving funds from traditional system into crypto, fine, pay that entry and exit tax. They could probably stop a lot of the things that have gone wrong in this space by simply just tightening up that, because it's all these centralized exchanges that are holding everyone's funds, that the shit that goes sideways. So it's not a hard problem to fix. They just don't want to fix the problem.
Hey, so this whole idea that can I? Sorry, mate. I was just going to go back and talk about the Kevin O'Leary thing. So the issue, what doesn't make sense about what he's saying is, if these exchanges are going down why do they go down? Because they don't hold the reserves, right?
Yeah.
So if they don't hold the reserves, what's getting dumped? So what he's saying is it's nonsensical. It doesn't even make sense. Like if there are no funds to be dumped on the market, like Mt. Gox coins are more of a threat. You know, the Silk Road BTC is more of a threat to the price than an exchange that doesn't hold reserves is.
Yeah. So they were actually good. You can tell us a bit more about that in a sec. It's funny that whilst Mt. Gox was a shit show, as an exchange, they were at least doing the right thing and had the funds in reserve. whereas that's what's gone really sideways from the later years is, these guys they're not holding the reserves. It's all fractional, and that's why they get into shit. So it's really not that hard to fix this problem, I don't think. Just prove what you've got, limit the amount of stupidity that exchanges can do. Yeah, if they were serious about fixing it, it wouldn't be that hard. Put it in the gambling rules if you want, if they think they're on the same page. But yeah, we'll continue to see shit like this until we either can come up with better ways to bypass the exchanges. Actually, that's not even true. It's only the degenerates that stay on the exchange. So it's either lack of education or you want to do degen trading. The lack of education is something we can work on. The degenerate trading, and maybe that's what needs a little bit of tightening up.
Yeah, I mean, I think exchanges should be used as on and off ramps into fiat, and that's it. That's my perspective. And people should totally, at least attempt to use trustless, DeFi products only that have been tried and tested. That's my perspective on it.
We're already seeing, and we're going to see more of them, is some of those degenerate tools they're making their way into the DeFi world. That's fine. It's always going to happen. Traders are going to trade, but at least there's not that central entity in the middle that, if you fuck up on a DeFi protocol because you messed up a trade, that's on you. Like you're personally responsible for that, as opposed to the exchange shafting you or doing their scam wicks and things like that. So if you want to degen, you can still degen, but at least you're not taking out a million users at a time. That's just you doing your own personal shit. I think the sooner we get there, the better.
I've noticed that crypto influencers have started, the ones that are still promoting exchanges are actually saying, this is the exchange that sponsors my channel. I encourage that if you're going to use exchange, use this exchange. However, we've all seen that these problems, and so I'm recommending that you use it just to buy and sell, like just what you just said, fiat off ramp and then self custody. So, which is definitely a positive step, right? Like it would be better if they were even more. I mean, I guess that's the best you can do, right? Because if they're getting paid to promote that exchange, and technically we're still limited on fiat on and off ramps, I think that's the sort of the most ethical way that they can do it while still accepting that sponsor.
If I would say it's a step in the right direction, but these guys that's still part of their revenue model, is not just the sponsorship from the exchange, but the trading fees.
Yeah.
So if the exchange came to you and said, look, we're going to give you 10 grand a month to promote our exchange, but there was no referral links. Okay, well, at least that guy, his income isn't linked to how churned up people are getting.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
Whereas at the moment,
just like the bankless guys who are also being sponsored by Nexo.
Yep. Hence the
wrecked
the thumbnail. Yeah. So those guys they have literally been sponsored by everyone that's fucked everyone over.
Everyone for every fail, yeah.
How are you feeling about this, David?
It's like we have these like super awesome foundations, and just like they just keep on enabling the worst.
Do you think that
it's hard to justify what the hell we're doing here, man? It's hard to justify what the hell we're doing here, man.
I think the 250K a month was justifying what they were doing there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, but some of those tears were being shed for the fact that the reputational damage that he was about to cop. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like he's
The
like
fact
upset
that these two guys were caught, like that guy and the other host were calling like Hex and like Richard a scammer.
They're still doing it the other day, and when
Yeah,
Nexo news came out,
It's
fucking insane.
It's like you guys are ridiculous. It's like
it's
so you
clown
guys
world, man. It's
have,
clown world.
It's clown world because it's you guys have been profiting from these centralized entities which have collapsed and scammed heaps of people in crypto.
Yeah.
And you're calling this other guy who's building decentralized awesomeness, you're calling him the scammer. Yeah. Meanwhile, no, who got scammed? Like where are the people who got scammed? And that's the it's maximum clown world. It is
Bro,
clown
my shock only increases every day that this goes on. Like every day that I wake up and Hex is still being gatekept off coin ranking sites where full on actual legit scams doesn't make sense. Actual proven to be scam projects were on there and then are still on there. I'm like, my shock just slowly increases every day, man. It's crazy. It's nuts.
So in fairness to the
bizarre, man.
In fairness to the bankless guys, what they did do is they did pull their Nexo sponsorship way before Nexo went tits up. So after the FTX thing, they were obviously hit very hard, as you can see. So they pulled they reevaluated who they were sponsored with and pulled the Nexo one. So got to give them credit for that. I think at least they're willing to learn and see.
I don't know, dude. I don't give them credit. Fuck them. I don't give them credit for that. They saw a cliff. They saw a cliff coming and they exited to save their asses, looking worse than. Like, I don't give them credit, dude. They're called bankless and they promote centralized shit. They're called bankless. That's their name, bankless. But they're promoting centralized bullshit that's not DeFi. Like, it doesn't even make sense, dude. Like, you're
I
more
think you've both got valid
than
points.
I am.
I'm happy to be swayed by 43's opinion because I think he's right. Like, it's the fuckers knew what they were doing to begin with. That's for sure. I guess my point was, at least we're seeing change. So, yeah.
I want to hear an apology from those motherfuckers. I want to hear an apology, apologizing to Richard Hart for calling him a scammer. That's what I want to hear because that's slanderous, man. Call someone a fucking scammer. Where are the fucking people? Where are the people who got scammed? Where are they? We hear there are more people calling him a scammer than I've never heard of anyone who's actually got scammed. I just hear people calling him a scammer. It's
the only scam that has happened is price went down. Happened to everyone.
Yeah, like the only negative impacts, like the only thing that someone can say that they experienced a negative impact. It's not a scam, but it's something that someone could be upset about.
I was being flippant when I said it, but So I totally agree on that front, and maybe it takes another cycle before people see that Hex and everyone involved, they're not going anywhere. They're building things that are fundamentally good because they're sticking to good principles about their design and removing middlemen. There's still a lot of people can't get past the initial perception of the project, and we're talking nearly 3. Are we we're past 3 years now, aren't we? Are we past 3 years? I think we are now.
Yeah,
we are.
Yes.
So this sort of stuff might be better for the long-term strength of Hex anyway. This sort of stuff, like when your community is forged in fire over a long period of time and nothing can knock it out. Like look at the hurdles that Hex has had, the Hex community has had, but look at the hurdles it's faced to its adoption. Almost unlike any other, like just the negativity being thrown at it is unlike anything I've seen before. And The fact that it's still going just proves that it is a DeFi product that is not like these centralized entities that get taken down. And every day that it still runs with this flawless uptime, I think it just makes it stronger. And it's almost like we were talking about immunity last week, like, you know, being sick and getting immunity from. This is what I think what Bitcoin went through as well. The only other one that I've seen that went through a lot of crap as well was Bitcoin. Bitcoin got the crap from the legacy system. HEX gets the crap from the crypto ecosystem itself rather than the legacy. Actually, HEX is like appeals more to legacy people than something like Bitcoin does, I think. I think most of the people that have been on board in the last 3 years have been no coiners.
Yeah, but I think it's just like we all know and understand the tech and get the design and whatever, but a lot of other people will still be putting it in the basket of it's another shit coin that had a good run in its first year out or its first cycle out, not going to come back. Will go to zero and fade away into the ether. And it's not until they see another sustained run up and hopefully another outperformance of the market that they'll then be able to put their preconceived thoughts to the side to actually sit down and have a look at it. I think
and I hope that happens for a few of them. I have a feeling just life experience has taught me that some people dig their heels in and will just they'll go down with the ship when it comes to, you know, like this Mike Alfred, that guy. I hate saying his name.
He can't come back. He can't come back.
No, that guy has put it out there that he thinks it's going to go to zero in the next 2 or 3 years, and meanwhile, I think his mining outfit has gone down. So I mean, it's like some of these people should just be focusing on their own situations rather than slinging mud at HEX to deflect.
Yeah. I know. I totally agree. There are some people that are just never ever going to come around. Like they've dug a hole far too deep, way too much ego and pride on the line. That you're just not going to come back from that. Hey, it'd be great to see someone like that turn. That would be phenomenal to see. But ego won't allow it.
Yep,
and that's okay. Some people are going to miss out. That's cool.
Have you guys seen what the daily payouts have been like lately? The HEX daily payout per T-share. I believe, I think they've been pretty good lately, actually, because we're currently the T-share.
Like high sixes, or are we talking like over 7?
I think it's high sixes. I haven't seen too many over 7s.
Yeah, I haven't seen 7, but like high 6s is pretty amazing, actually. Mid to high 6. Well, I think mid 6s. We saw some in the mid 6s. We're still in that sort of between 6.2 to 6.5 sort of range on a daily basis. But still, I mean, I remember when it was like just getting to 5. Remember when it was like 5? I mean, that's.
Did you guys watch the Crypto Sparbook guys and Crispy on the HEX conference? I've watched it, but I was sort of half drifting off when I was watching it. And I think
I've seen definitely part of it.
And I've got to go back and watch the last little bit because it was the bit where I drifted off, which was the most important bit that I was after, and that was their expected payout per T-share over the next 15 years. Do any of you guys recall?
No. What did you go back and watch it?
So I think their conservative number was in the 9 region, 9 something.
In 15 years, did you?
Yeah. But then there was and don't quote me on this one, but the sort of more, I guess, more aggressive number they were looking at was around in the 20s, I think, which is what they originally done a couple of
9
years ago when
seems
they've done
low to me. It seems low
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, I want to go back and watch it again and just see what some of their assumptions were. But I think T-shares are going to get a lot rarer, a lot quicker. So I think that's likely to be a lot higher, that figure. But I want to go back and check it because that was the whole the whole reason why I watched that stream was just for that particular, to see how they had updated that based on Crispy's number, because he's put a lot of data there that they can now look at.
Speaking of T-shares and that, do you guys think that project that came out that claims to incentivize better staking behavior is going to improve people's length?
I don't know, man. Look, I've had a look at it. I watched Coffee's video. To me,
We're talking about communists.
Yeah. So great to incentivize that behavior. Is it going to be enough to? Is that token going to hold value, or is it just going to get dumped into oblivion? Is what I'm not sure about. Good on Kodiak for putting it together. I think it's nice that he's done something where there's no sacrifice. There's no cost other than minting. It encourages the right behavior. I hope it gets some sort of price support and is another revenue stream that offsets people willing to do long stakes. But at this point in time, I've got to see why someone would come along and buy it. But in saying that, we looked at when Hedron first came out. I said the same thing. I said it's going to be a dump forever token. My words were it was going to be a 2 to 3 year burn before you've seen the results of Hedron. Now, obviously, that changed dramatically when the ICOSA contract came out. So who knows what's in the plans.
The reason I bring it up, and I'm very careful about bringing up, tokens that are not HEX on this show, but the reason I do bring it up is because it's wholly dependent on you having T-shares. Like you need to have a HEX stake to be able to claim that token. So it's very much like it's sort of like an airdrop for T-share holders. And I think that is always something worth mentioning on the HEX Late Show, because if these things do end up having some value in future, which we don't know, I mean, there might be no value in future. It might be a waste of claiming you might be wasting your gas fees, basically. But if it does have value in future, then that's a benefit for hexagons. And a lot of the time, hexagons end up dumping these coins for more HEX, which is a positive thing for HEX anyway. So who knows? We'll and it does incentivize staking behavior in HEX, because you can only claim that coin if you have a HEX stake. So that's why we mentioned it.
And it has to be over 180 days.
Has to be over 180-day stake.
There's definitely some scarcity to it, but scarcity doesn't necessarily translate into value unless there's. Yeah, I like to be able to see where a value transfer is happening, or there's some way that value can be accrued, can be captured in the token. And at the moment, I'm not really seeing that on that one. But hey, I'm happy to be proven wrong.
We don't know is the short of it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I thought I would just ask. I do remember Hexo saying once that whenever he gets any airdrop at all, he just literally sells 100% of it into HEX. And that's worked really well for him, particularly with the one that was the uni airdrop and some of the other ones when things were still going up. And I thought that's not a bad strategy if you're a HEX enthusiast, that you would just consolidate everything into HEX as it goes. And typically that's going to work out well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as a general thought, so this is just me personally. When I when I look across at other assets that I might want to diversify in, the main question that runs through my head is, am I likely to get better gains on this than HEX? And with relative to the risk as well. And I don't find too many things like that. Like if you're in the right place at the right time, you can get you might be able to make some quick X's on something, but that's pretty degenerate sort of behavior. So what I'm talking about more is from a long-term hold. So if you had to hold something through the next cycle, what would you hold, and is it likely to outperform HEX? And
also the other cost is mental real estate. So the more tokens you have, it's the more price charts you have to be mindful of and alerts you have to set. And especially if it's a small bag, it's just easier just to have less assets so that you're not wasting your life monitoring and different ratios and all that sort of thing.
If it's a token or a project you hold because there's a benefit in terms of a utility or a use you're getting out of it, that's fine. But when you distill it all down, and I'll just pick on a random project, I'll say Cardano. Why would I hold Cardano? Well, I don't give two shits
bro, because it's the future of finance, bro. It's
and it may exactly, and it may well be the future of finance, but is it going to outperform? And the answer is probably no. It's not going to outperform. So I find
what was their latest narrative? Their latest narrative was like, I think they've got smart contracts now, and like the activity on the chain is going up and the TVLs are going up or whatever. I'm like, man, I've heard this shit 100 times before on every L1 that is trying to be the next thing. And for me at the moment, they're all correlated. Like I've just noticed all of those L1 chains, they're all correlated. So you might as well just hold ETH or like.
So so that was my point. Like if this whole market is going to elevate, what does it really matter if you smatter yourself along all these different L1s and different things? Yeah, some of them are going to pop at different times and there'll be the outlier that outperforms, goes above the rest of them.
The ones that have actually been doing quite well lately have actually been the genuine L2s. And I'll say the name of it actually, because there's a pro and a con. So Optimism has been pumping like shit, and that's like a genuine L2 for ETH. But I've been told that the tokenomics for that coin are terrible, that only 4% of the supply has been released or something. So it's like you're in the long term, you're looking at a token that is going to get diluted to shit. So it might be pumping at the moment, and it might have everyone frothing for it because L2s seem to be a popular thing at the moment to get like the low fees, but still be genuinely linked to the most vibrant smart contract ecosystem. So, but it's not going to. I think it would have to be a short-term play at most.
That's right. So that's going to, things will run. Definitely things will run. But if I'm looking at, okay, I need to hold this thing, or I want to hold this thing for the next 3 years, I find it really, really hard to diversify because I just don't think anything's going to happen.
And that's that distinction between, are you just trading to try and make more of your preferred coin, or are you long-term investing into something that you genuinely believe in? And so, So,
and one of the things that influences me the most when it comes to these like other projects or other coins, other tokens, new things that come out, related to HEX, perhaps not, is this new thing going to turn me into a click monkey? Do I have to sit there clicking through all manner of shit just to claim X, Y? And do I have to do it every month? Like there was something out there that came out that was originally
click monkey.
Bro, I don't want to be a click monkey.
I agree. I just love the term.
Yeah, no, and that's what some of these things are. And like, I'll give you an example. I don't want to do that. I will not do that. So I had nothing to do with. There was something that came out that got airdropped. So you guys will know what I'm talking about. Something, and I'm not going to name them. Something came out that got airdropped to hexagons, and then later on, there was you could swap that token for something else that allowed you to, I guess, do like a 30-day type activity on a rolling basis, right? I can't think of anything I would less rather have to do than on a 30-day basis have a job to fucking do. Like, don't give me a job to do. Do not give me a job to do. I do not want that. However, I know someone who's just getting into crypto, who for them it's actually a good thing for them to have to do, because they're going to have to go in on a monthly basis. It keeps them connected with what they're doing, and for them it was their choice to do it. I didn't push them in that direction, but they wanted to do it and they did it. And for them, it was good. It's good because they keep like a connection. Otherwise, they would just be sitting around. Not, they'd have to guess that they'd probably just have to trade if they wanted to get more experience, if you know what I mean. So, but for me, I don't want to have anything to do with this stuff. Like, do not give me stuff to click. I want, like, even that's my irk I have with and I'm going to get hate from the chat here. That's my problem I have with Hedron.
Don't name it. Don't name. Oh, okay.
No.
I thought you were going to name it. I thought you were talking about a different project.
I love Hedron. I love Hedron. I think it's a great. I think it's a great thing that Alex has coded. The only thing I don't like is the click monkey aspect of, if you've got multiple stakes, you have to go through and click those multiple stakes and mint Hedron for each one.
But you only have to do it when it's once per stake ending, right? If you
if you want, depends on how you're playing the game.
If that's how you play the game.
T-Bird, that's the first I've ever heard you say. So I reckon Pulse could outperform Hex in its first cycle. That's the barest I've ever heard you on Hex.
Where's that? I can't even see it.
Pulse. So for Pulse to outperform Hex, in terms of if you compare it to its first cycle versus first cycle.
Ooh, it will out.
It's going to depend.
No, I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's saying it will out.
So Pulse's first cycle against Hex's second cycle. Oh, of course, then. But that's obvious because of that whole thing that we all know, that as the coins get older, it's more difficult to pump.
I don't know that that's that obvious, to be honest, man.
I mean, it's definitely more likely than what I thought he was saying, which is first cycle versus first cycle, which is a more fair competition, by the way.
Yep.
And I was going to say that's going to depend on how bullish this next bull run is. If it's like a psycho bull run, then I think yes. But if it's a fairly subdued, like moderated bull run that's not that psycho, then it would be difficult to compete. So
I think you'll find, so profits need to flow somewhere. So let's just say Pulse goes on a banging run and people want to lock in some of those gains, and you're in the midst of a bull market. Do you really want to be sitting in stable coins? Where are you gonna put those gains? So I think there's a good argument that a lot of that could flow back into Hex. And look, if you know what you're doing, there's other tools out there where you can where you don't have to sell your Pulse, but you can still get more of your Hex as well. So there's a lot of different games that can be played this time. So I don't think it's a straight out answer of it's in its first cycle, it's going to outperform. Our ecosystem is there's going to be a lot of moving parts moving forward. A lot of cool stuff that you can do.
In my talk on the Hex conference, I talked about Hex being the Schelling point, that without people even necessarily needing to coordinate, people would just think to use Hex as the store of value, particularly if you're a fan of the RH ecosystem.
Yep. Yeah. That's what I think there's. That means better than 10,000x. I just, man, if Pulse does 10,000x, that's just insane shit. just can't. I'd love to see it. I think people that are expecting that probably need to recalibrate.
But people would have thought the same thing when ETH was launching. People would have thought, if this, so it's always like, it's always hard to imagine at the front end, but we've seen so many projects actually do it if they're quality.
Yeah.
Do you know what could make that happen? It would need to be a very specific sequence of events in the ecosystem. Pulse launches flawlessly, and then very, very soon after the Pulse launch, very, very soon, something catastrophic happens. No, something catastrophic happens to Ethereum in a way that it doesn't work properly anymore.
So government censorship. OFAC shit could
maybe it's that,
I mean?
or maybe it's just something just doesn't, like, some shit just doesn't work anymore.
I don't
like some catastrophic thing.
I don't think that's the thing you want to be banking on, because we'll be using the same code.
I agree with day 43 though that is actually that would make Pulse become
if Pulse has been fixed,
adoption would just be like crazy.
That specific, like, and Pulse is still working. It doesn't have the same flaw. They've fixed it. That set of circumstances, and I'm not praying for that to happen, by the way. I would prefer that doesn't happen, because, you know, there's a whole lot of HEX stakes on Ethereum, which I would like everything to go up in tandem. Like, I'd like it all to go well. But if that did happen, I think, you know, you would see mass adoption of Pulse, because it would be like the alternative at the right time. There would just be the right set of events for that to push people over there. And they don't even have to bridge stuff across is the key. The key is that people can just go and start playing on it immediately.
Projects could just basically switch their front end. Like, as in, all they'd do is they'd get their front end to point to Pulse instead of ETH. Do you know what I mean? It would be very quick, because all the contracts are going to be there, fully deployed, all the token balances. It's like, if you
I'm not
were
saying
to
this
make
is going to happen.
No. I know you're saying the likelihood of this happening is low, but I agree fully with you that would be the set of circumstances that would be very favorable to Pulse adoption. Because it would be literally, for all the projects, it would just be the easiest way for them to get back on their feet. All the smart contracts are already over there. Everything's compatible. It's all EVM compatible. Like, their front end would just need some very small changes to basically point to PulseChain instead of ETH. And it would be like the fastest, easiest way for them to get their shit back, so that people aren't screaming at them for having a failed shit.
Do you know what another version of ETH not working is just high gas fees?
There's plenty.
But just
like
that.
Really high though. Really high.
So 200, 300 Gwei. Like,
I think it would need to be even higher than that, man, because we've seen high gas fee environments where people still choose ETH over other chains because they believe.
But not the smaller players. They can't. They just have to sit on the sidelines, because they can't. If you've got like a $500 investment, you cannot play with $200 gas fee, 200 Gwei gas fee. You cannot play. You can't even play. Whereas they can. Those people can immediately come across the Pulse. So I think if there are high gas fees in the first month or 2 months of Pulse launching, and it really needs to be at the start. I think it needs to be at the start, because then you'll pretty much have exactly the same of what you currently have on Ethereum network. You'll have exactly the same, tokens and values and everything on that side.
Yep.
I think that could be.
I agree with you. But it did sound like Jexa had a counter, at least a minor counter.
I think so. I guess when we put it in the context of this is what you need to do 10,000x, then maybe you're right. I think ultimately Pulse needs to be able to stand on its own 2 feet without shit breaking around it for it to be successful. And I'm pretty sure it will. The high fee thing on ETH, I think you're going to see Arbitrum ease a lot of that, and a lot of projects are porting across to that. So all your majors will be available on that layer 2. And there's no
By the
you don't
way-
need another coin. ETH is the native token on that network. So there's I wouldn't bank on that being the thing that you need to happen.
I've always said you can tell a true layer 2 because its gas, its native token is the same as the L1. So Lightning Network, it uses Bitcoin. Arbitrum and Optimism, they use Ethereum. Whereas Matic, Polygon was never a layer 2. It was always a fake layer 2 in name only because it's got
its own network.
It's got its own native asset. That's the way. That is the litmus test for if something is a true layer 2. And by the way, Arbitrum does not have its own token yet. So some believe that if you fuck around with it, you may get an airdrop. So like just using the network, so bridging into it and playing around, they might airdrop like what Optimism did. Optimism airdropped their OP token for playing around with the network. Yeah. And in fact, speaking of Optimism, I've heard they're planning a round 2 airdrop without details on exactly what you have to do to get it. It's probably playing around with DeFi protocols and stuff like that. But I think that the running theme that we saw with Uni, Fox token, like all of those airdrops was they tend to try to reward the people who are like experimenting with their chain before they realize that there's going to be an incentive. So retrospective incentive to people who have played with it. So effectively exploring DeFi means that at some point you may get airdrops.
Yep. Don't necessarily go chasing them though.
It's awesome.
Yeah, don't waste your time and money trying to specifically chase airdrops. But if you're sometimes all it took was connecting your wallet. You didn't actually need to financially interact to get an airdrop. It was literally if your wallet connected to that front end or to the contract through the front end or whatever, you would get airdropped.
Someone put in a comment I wanted to go back to. User-controlled supply does make market cap matter. Pulse is launching with a rough 700 million market cap. To do a 10,000x, you'd need to start lower, in my opinion. What's your thoughts on that comment, Tangent?
I don't think so. As in, really, all that matters is liquidity and supply versus demand. Not because realistically, it doesn't really matter what the cap says. It's like the easiest example is the whole like, if you've got a supply of like 1 trillion and you sell one to your mate for $1, it's now a 1 trillion cap asset. So it's really liquidity and demand that are going to dictate how high the price is, how many X's the price goes. And remember also that
there's an assumption as well.
What?
Sorry,
true. No, good point.
The assumption.
Make that point.
The assumption is that this $700 million market cap won't drop because a 10,000x is measured from the low. So if, let's say, it drops 50%, 60%, 70%, 90%, if it did that, then that 10,000x would be measured from that low point, which would make a massive, massive difference to where that final 10,000x all-time high is. Sorry, mate, for jumping in. I just want to make that point.
Where was that price assumption starting from? It was from the SAC rate, like an approximate SAC rate.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Well, I think that was based on
as well.
No, sorry. That the market cap rate is not from the SAC rate; it's from the total sacrificed. You could reasonably assume that is your market cap.
The total sacrifice that wasn't OA.
Correct. Yeah. So you could assume that. That's
good point. Your
good
market
point. Cap, which I agree with. That's a fair assumption. Does it matter for price? I don't think so. It will come down to how many people pay per hand. So actually, it will come down to a couple of things. Like 43 just said, you need demand. If there's no demand, then price is going to do shit. I think there's going to be enough demand. Like I think there's a lot of users out there that will come across the Pulse. I think that haven't sacrificed, and even with the people that have sacrificed, I still think there's a lot of activity there that can be had. It will come down to large wallets how much they can diamond hand it initially. And I don't,
I'll actually be quite devo if the price goes significantly below the SAC rate, because it will mean that we've had our capital tied up for the entire time since the sacrifice, and someone can just come along on launch or within that first week, having not had their capital tied up for that extensive amount of time, and also get it at a cheaper rate. That would be absolutely devastating to me.
There is also
I
a
would expect
variability in where people are in profit. So, you know, someone who came in and sacked a small amount at a bad time in the launch in that sack phase.
I just made that comment.
Yeah.
About how everyone's sack rate is different.
Yeah, so people could be in profit and they might be selling their profits, and other people might be experiencing, might be in the red, might be underwater at the same time. Like some people are selling in profit and other people are underwater because of the difference in
order of magnitude. Or it's only within one order of magnitude. Yeah, that. So I'm saying significantly. I'm not talking like 10, 20%. I'm talking like significantly, like how you were saying, if it was like 90, 95% down or whatever. You know what I mean?
So I think you will find
bonuses as well. The bonus is the other thing that affects it. So bonuses and the price that whatever it was that you sacrificed and what its value was at the time would both impact that rate that you. I saw someone on Twitter saying they were like, I'm a massive Pulse whale. I got one of the best bonus things, and I'm going to dump all of it on as soon as it launches or something like that. And I was just like,
awesome.
Good on them. Good
Let
on
them
them.
dump. Good. That's it. You could only dump.
But they could
just
be bullshitting. They could also be bullshitting.
Yeah.
It could just be some pleb that didn't even sacrifice at all and just trying to fud the shit.
The reality is
T-Bird's comment is
I'm not going to put that comment out.
But it's true. There'll be people that have been holding this for a while that may be overcommitted or get a small gain, and they'll just shit the bed. They'll dump it, and I'll be surprised if price doesn't go below average SAC value. I'll be surprised if it doesn't, because it'll be low liquidity. Maybe, who knows what's going to happen with the liquidity, but it might be low liquidity initially because you would want to flush out the mongoloids. So let them do what they want to do, and then once you get that initial wash out, then you can actually start to rebuild and then add a bit more liquidity. Sorry, you were going to say something, 43?
I forget. Doesn't matter. Wasn't that important?
I want HEX to do a quick 3x so that we can be back in the top 5 by cap, according to the genuine cap ranks. We would only need a 3x to be top, to be positioned 4 or 5, depending.
You know what? I don't give a shit about cap ranking anymore.
I care because I just want to brag about it. I just want to smash it out on Twitter, just being like, ha.
But even if you do, man, there'll be haters that say, oh, it's all fake this and fake that. So
I want to see HEX at number 1. I want to see HEX at number 1. Number 1 cap rank.
Yeah.
And the supply is so much higher now than what it was when we were fighting up in the top 3 last time, when we got real high in the ranks. The supply has been increasing. So you don't even need as high a price to be as high. Although I guess all the other coins have gone up as well, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's why, just going back to that original comment we had, market cap, I think it's a pretty useless metric. If you're...
Yeah, it is.
It used to be you would go down the list of coin market cap or whatever site you're looking at, and that's how you would gauge how much room there was to run on a project back in the early days based on... they all have very similar coin counts.
And legitimacy. It would give a coin legitimacy if it was in the top 20 or top 25 sort of thing. You'd be like, oh, Neo's actually legit, right, or something like that,
Yeah, but people would buy them based on, okay, it's got this much more to move. And I think if you're still investing that way, then you're
wrecked.
missing. Yeah.
Do you remember when people would be like, oh, Link did this, and then this project over here is also an oracle. So if it even just did 5% of what Link did, then we're all getting rich. Like that was like doing that likeness thing, just being like, oh, but this is also an oracle, as if that's gonna like, then it just deserves to pump by a percentage of what the other one did. It doesn't work like that.
Yep. Hey guys, we've been going for like an hour and 50 minutes. I actually have to head off at the 2-hour mark. Cool. Did you guys?
Can I? As my outro, I need to talk about 3 things very quickly. 1, Mt. Gox got delayed again. That shit is again similar shit where people complain. It was meant to be Jan 10 deadline that everyone had in like their address, like the Bitcoin address that you want to be paid to, the bank account details for the cash, all that shit had to be. It was strict deadline Jan 10, and then literally like a day or 2 before. Obviously, too many people were complaining that they didn't have enough time to do it or whatever, and they bitched it and extended the deadline. So that is going to add an unknown amount to the payments, which should have been around the middle of the year for the starts of the payments. Now it's going to obviously be later. So my belief is that Mt. Gox coins will not be released until we are well and truly into another bull cycle. So the damage that it's going to do is going to be minimal, because if everything's pumping, it'll get absorbed more easily. So that's bad for me, good for everyone that cares about the crypto market. I also wanted to add Void.cash to our list of privacy protocols that we had discussed we were going to do an episode about. That's almost a direct version of Tornado Cash, like as in it works exactly the same way, where you just...
What's it called?
Void.cash. So it's the same as the original Tornado Cash, where you submit to one of the sized pools, and then you just use that.
Is it using the same contract?
I don't think so, but don't quote me on that. I don't think so. I think it's got its own contracts, but it's possible. It's possible that it's just a front end to Tornado, maybe. That one. So that one's good for anyone who's just used to using Tornado and wants something that's familiar. You just put it in, and then you use the cryptographic note to pull it out to a different address. And then the other thing I was going to say, which I wanted to discuss with you, but it doesn't look like we've got time, is I tested out the wallet that is integrated into Brave browser. And at first I thought it was going to be really amazing because it's not an extension. It's directly native to the browser. So I thought that would be an advantage. And it does more than just EVM compatible chains. It also does other chains that I won't mention, and I was like, hell yes, this is going to be sick. We can stop effing around with all these other extensions and trying to find one. This looks like it's just going to do everything and do it smoothly. But I don't know how you guys experienced it if you've tried it, but for me, it was as annoying as S. Like it was slow, buggy, like it just really annoying. Like I couldn't believe how slow it was. And so they need to improve that shit, unless it was just at my end. It's possible it's just at my end.
Can you connect your hardware wallet?
Yes. Yep. Custom RPCs, connect hard wallet, multiple EVM, any EVM chain plus other chains that are not EVM compatible. On the surface of it, literally everything you could possibly want in a DeFi wallet. And you don't need to risk having an extension because it's native to the wallet. So it sounded amazing.
Cool.
But too slow. Just so
ultimately
slow, slow.
But ultimately, that doesn't really matter whether it's an extension or not. Ultimately, what matters are the packets that are going out.
Yes,
that's all that matters.
Yes.
Like,
you're right. It could still be a problem. Like,
what information is contained
to be quite privacy conscious.
What information is contained in the headers of the packets that are going out? That's what matters ultimately.
I think Brave has got a good track record of being quite solid on the privacy front.
Yeah. I've seen it. I've played with it before. Yeah, I've played with it. And
did you also find it to be slow?
I find the interface, the user interface, to be a bit glitchy, like you were saying. I think it's an option, and I think the more options that are out there, the better it is. So I wouldn't say to people absolutely do not ever use. I would never use it as an actual wallet itself. I would only use it as a conduit for a hardware wallet.
Oh,
would
obviously,
never-
but that goes for
yeah.
that goes for all of these, right? That's
Yeah, that
default
goes for everything. But I
comment
think
for
it's
any wallet.
important that I point that out. Like, I would never actually use that wallet as a wallet.
Yeah.
as a
Sorry.
hot
Yeah.
wallet.
I was
Like,
only ever using it with my hardware wallet. I wouldn't
With a
use
hardware
it.
wallet,
I wouldn't raw dog it. So, Jexa, does that mean that, in your opinion, would your favorite still be Rabby then? If that's
Yeah, Rabby has the best UI that I've been using so far. Obviously, the one limitation being you can't put in a custom network. You can do custom RPCs, but not a custom network. So that's a bit shit still.
Yeah.
The other one that
Bit glitchy for me, man. A bit glitchy.
No, I find it's actually quite.
Doesn't
quite
work well
smooth.
on Linux at all.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I couldn't comment on Linux. But yeah, to me, that's the best UI. The block wallet is probably the second one, but it's not a patch on Rabby at the moment, I don't think.
Frame.
so Rabby
Frame
wouldn't
wallet, guys.
you wouldn't be able to
Frame
use
wallet.
ETH proof of work ETH. That one you would have to use your ETH network and change the RPC to be ETH proof of work. Could you do that?
Oh, I haven't thought to hack it like that. To be honest, that would be dangerous. But yeah, just confusing.
Yeah, I probably also wouldn't risk it. So and they haven't commented on whether they're going to support PulseChain.
No, well, it's on their roadmap. Obviously, they can't.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's but just in terms of adding other networks, you're a bit limited as to what they let you do. But they've got like a lot of networks in there. Yeah, so hopefully they'll sort out. They're adding a custom network thing. Everyone asked for custom RPCs, and they did the right thing. They've implemented that. But I think what everyone was really asking for was custom networks.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but I think they'll get around to that eventually.
Very cool.
Thanks, guys. There's no silver bullet.
No.
Yes.
Jexa, did you want to any final words, mate?
Just out of interest. So I thought I'd just find out, because you've talked about Mt. Gox with the Quadriga CX address becoming active. I just thought I'd check and see how many coins we're talking about there and what sort of damage that could do. But it looks like it says more than 100 BTC tied to Quadriga CX has moved out of cold storage. So it's not a massive amount. It's not a small amount, but it's not a massive amount. Don't know that that's the entire total amount though, but they've moved it to a mixer. So it's on the move. So yeah.
They moved it to a BTC mixer.
To Wasabi.
Ugh. They're going to have to do better than that.
Yep. So yeah, that could have a little bit of an impact, but
wait, Wasabi's G. Wasabi's really good.
Yeah. My understanding is that they're only good to a point, and they're still trackable. They're like on BTC, it's only good. There's the gold standard was Tornado, the gold standard, but there's like with Wasabi, because of the UTXO system, I think it's still trackable in some way. Like high level tracking software can still track that stuff. So they're probably better off. That's my understanding. You're probably better off bridging across to.
I'm going to need to go then. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Look, the last point that I'll make before we head off was just in relation to Pulse, and a thought for us all when we're talking about when it launches and people rage dumping. I think we should consider the fact that people have been for the most part, very patient, and we've learned to be patient. Like whether we like it or not, we've learned to be patient over the last couple of years. This urgency to dump, I don't know that people are going to want to dump if they're underwater. I can understand people saying, "Hey, I'm happy with a 2x, I'm happy with a 5x, I'm happy with a 10x." There'll be people waiting for 100x. There'll be people waiting for 10,000x. Everyone's going to have different sets of different expectations. But I would be very surprised if we just get like this, just people just dumping, like unleashing the dump for, a long time. I can't imagine that happening.
And
I don't know what's
going
to happen.
Easily
but
be as many people buying, like as in there could be rage buying.
Exactly.
Like
I think,
and they could just offset each other.
And if there's like a couple of months of lead into the launch, or a month, it could and we're in the beginnings, or we've already bottoms out in the crypto market, and we're in the beginnings of a bull. Who knows what could happen? Like, it could be very, very positive, and we could see really positive things, especially if people are patient, But
just the counter on it, mate. There's a lot of people holding Pulse X who want Pulse,
and there's that as well.
Oh, yeah.
But there is an unknown element, which is the incentive token, which Richard Harder said he does not give a shit about. He does not care about. But the problem with not caring about the incentive token is that why would anyone give a crap about it if the founder doesn't even care about it? So that's a problem. That's a problem in itself. So anyway, these things are going to get resolved. They're going to get played out. We're going to find out about them. We just need to continue to be patient and let the devs do what they do best, and continue to dev. Big shout out to the chat. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jexa. Thank you, Tangent, for coming on this week. And we will, unless you guys have anything else to add, we'll see you next week.
That's it.
Peace. Thanks, guys. Thanks, chat.
Peace.